Late Night joked about Johnson & Johnson recommending a pause in their vaccine. Jimmy Fallon said, that's right, they're recommending a pause. Then anyone who's ever been dumped was like, oh boy, we know what pause means. Colbert, statistically speaking, 6 is not that significant since nearly 7 million people in the U.S. have received Johnson & Johnson shots so far. That's less than 1 in a million. To put that in perspective, it's slightly better odds than you have of getting to visit Willy Wonka's fantabulous chocolate factory, which, for the record, kills or maims 4 of the 5 children who step foot inside. Trevor, you realize that means you're more likely to get struck by lightning 10 times, which, by the way, is the origin story of Marvel's most useless superhero. Kimmel, that means the odds are less than 1 in a million. It's 0.000009. That's more zeros than the Trump family. Trevor, don't forget, yes, you might have a 0.0001% chance of getting blood clots from the vaccine, but if you get coronavirus, you can get lung damage, heart damage, neurological damage, strokes, seizures, Guillain-Barré syndrome, immune disorders, erectile dysfunction, and get this, blood clots. Fallon. And today, if you had a Johnson & Johnson appointment in New York, they gave you Pfizer instead. Yeah, it's like going to a restaurant and hearing rat of Coke is Dom Perignon, okay? Fallon. Yes, it's a really rare event. It's like seeing a working self-checkout machine at CVS. That's how rare. Trevor, honestly, if you ask me, I think it's impressive Johnson & Johnson even made a vaccine with such a low chance of blood clots. Pfizer and Moderna are drug companies. Johnson & Johnson makes baby shampoo. I'm surprised their stuff works at all. Colbert, when reached for comment, Johnson said it was Johnson's fault, but Johnson pointed the finger at Johnson. Kimmel, I blame the second Johnson. He never graduated high school. Corden, damn it, Johnson & Johnson, you had one jab. Fallon, Johnson & Johnson is owned by the same family who owns the New York Jets, so don't think of this as a pause. Think of it more like a 50-year rebuild. Taylor Swift was on Stephen Colbert, and if you think I'm mentioning this just so I can use it in the SEO for the episode description, you're crazy. Colbert said that he's always had a strong bond to Taylor's album Fearless after he jokingly received a signed copy of the album in 2009 while still hosting the Colbert Report. Colbert has insisted for years that Hey Stephen, which appears on the original Fearless album in 2008, was dedicated to him. Colbert said, Hey Stephen has to be about me, just like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds has got to be about Lucille Ball flying in an airplane with all her jewelry. To believe anything else, you'd have to be high on acid. Taylor Swift denied Colbert's claim. She said she was just 18 years old when she recorded the song. Colbert said that he too was younger at the time, and Swift rattles off the exact age of the comedian in years and days when she wrote the song, 44 years, 179 days old. Colbert is shocked to hear that Swift specifically knew how old he was at the time, which she attested to being a huge fan of his work. The host asked Swift for the signed CD, which prompted her to reveal that she knew the exact address of Colbert's old office in New York. Colbert joked, so you know exactly where my office was in the building, and you're sure Hey Stephen isn't about me? Swift said, it's just about the power of music, Stephen. Good songs make you feel like it's about you. Taylor then pulled out a mood board she used when originally recording the song. The board consisted almost entirely of pictures of Colbert. Colbert said, Taylor, those are all pictures of me. This is not vanity. It just really seems like the song is about me. Swift, don't flatter yourself. Hey Stephen's not about you any more than my 1989 album is about that year you spent waiting tables on the lunch shift at this scoozy Italian restaurant in the River North area of Chicago that, by the way, serves a really incredible slice of pizza. Colbert was bewildered by how much Swift knows about him, and she said, you need to calm down, which, by the way, is also a song not about you. Swift eventually admitted that Hey Stephen is actually about author Stephen King, which left Colbert in total disbelief. Colbert said, but Taylor, even if that's the case, you can understand why maybe I thought the song was about me. Swift, I mean, not really, to be honest. If I was going to write a song about you, it's too obvious to call it Hey Stephen. You'd call it something more detailed. Songwriting is all about the details. Colbert said, no matter how much you insist Hey Stephen is about me, I keep getting the strong feeling that it is. Taylor said, that seems like a you thing for you to sort of process, but the thing about that feeling is I think you should just address it within yourself. I think it's something you should process and then take that feeling that you're feeling and just shake it off. Well done. Sounds like a great bit, doesn't it? Bert Kreischer. He has that legendary comedy bit called The Machine. When you're done with this podcast, go on YouTube, Google Bert Kreischer. No, you don't Google on YouTube, Johnny Mac. Leave it in. Go to YouTube, search for Bert Kreischer, The Machine. It is a wonderful bit. There may be some spoilers here in this upcoming story, but the point being, they're making a movie out of it, and the movie will co-star Mark Hamill. Legendary Pictures, they made those like good Batman movies. They're adapting a story that Bert Kreischer told on stage. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1 about getting involved with the Russian mob while studying abroad in college. Kreischer's story has been viewed more than 85 million times. The film is inspired by the stand-up routine and sees the events of the story catch up with the comedian 20 years later when he and his father, played by Mark Hamill, get kidnapped by the people Kreischer wronged. The film is described as The Hangover meets Midnight Run and will film in Serbia. That sounds like tons of fun. From the Laugh Button, Jordan Klepper is spinning off his popular segment from The Daily Show with a new special called Jordan Klepper Fingers the Pulse into the Magaverse. In the special, Klepper will take a look back at some of the craziest moments he encountered while at Trump rallies last year and even interview some of the diehard supporters. This thing airs Monday, April 19th at 11 p.m. Hey, remember last week when I told you that Joel Hodgson from Mystery Science Theater 3000 had started up a new Kickstarter campaign to produce new episodes? Well, they've already achieved their goal. Yeah, $2 million was reached within 2 days of the project going live. According to the video, how it all breaks down is at $2 million, they'll be able to debut 3 new episodes and launch a new app for all things Mystery Science Theater. That app is called the Gizmoplex. There you can watch new and classic episodes, exclusive content, and more. And if they get to $3.3 million, they'll be able to do 6 new episodes. Hank Azaria has told the podcast Armchair Expert that he feels like he might need to go to, quote, every single Indian person in this country and personally apologize for passing on structural racism through his portrayal of the Springfield Quickie Mart owner, Apu. Hank says, I was speaking at my son's school. I was talking to the Indian kids there because I wanted to get their input. A 17-year-old boy, he's never even seen The Simpsons, but knows what Apu means. It's practically a slur at this point. All he knows is how his people are thought of and represented to many people in this country. Hank says, I really do apologize. I know you weren't asking for that, but it's important. I apologize for my part in creating that and participating in that. Part of me feels like I need to go around to every single Indian person in this country and personally apologize. And sometimes I do when it comes up. Now, Azaria says he's a proponent of non-racist casting. If it's an Indian character or a Latinx character or a black character, please let's have that person voice the character. It's more authentic. They'll bring their experience to it, and let's not take jobs away from people who don't have enough. From Deadline, stand-up comedian Mo Amer is the latest to join Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam posse for New Line/DC. Mo Amer is fantastic. You should watch his Netflix comedy special. It is called Mo Amer the Vagabond. That is a fantastic special. He's also on the sitcom Rami. We don't know who Mo will be playing in Black Adam, but it is a superhero movie, and he joins a cast that includes Dwayne Johnson, of course, Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, and some others. That movie will be out next year. From Variety, NBC has given out a pair of comedy pilot orders. One went to Demi Lovato. It is titled Hungry. In the show, friends who belong to a food issues group help each other as they look for love, success, and the perfect thing in the fridge that's going to make it all better. The other pilot is called Someone Out There. It is based on the format Pequeñas Coincidencias, created by Javier Vega. The show is a romantic comedy about two set-in-their-ways adults who are challenged by very unexpected strangers to become the best versions of themselves in order to find love and possibly each other. Let's check in on the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. They gave 4 stars to Bella Green is Charging for It. Hide your children's ears, because this show was about Bella regaling her youth and introduction to sexuality via discovering her stepfather's pornography collection. Bella tells the stories of the transitions in her life that led to work in brothels, strip clubs, peep shows, and dominatrix dungeons. Charging for It, the name of the show, attempts to demystify and break down the stigmas commonly associated with sex work for those who've never stepped into a red light district, all with a menacing eye and sharp tongue for those who perceive Green and her peers with negative connotations. Perhaps the only disappointment of her show is the audience. It's obvious Green is preaching to the converted. While sex work has slowly lost some of its taboo status in recent years, those who need to hear her messages are more likely off seeing something less challenging. They also gave 4 stars to Aidan Jones' show Taco. The Age writes, Taco is certainly no frills. While some comedians will opt for blaring house music, piercing walk-on songs, and extravagant lighting, for this show they're greeted instead by Jones sipping a non-alcoholic beer while sitting on stage and exchanging banter one by one. He remarks, don't worry, this isn't the show. His show is about his upbringing, coming to terms with his own ethnicity, and finally meeting his biological father at the age of 28. He's a masterful storyteller, says The Age, so that sounds like another great show at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Don't forget, you can vote for this week's Comedy's Top Dog competition. It is Chappelle's Show versus Seinfeld, the sitcom. Lori Terrell White said Chappelle's Show. I got to tally these votes. Seems like Chappelle's out to a slight lead, but you got a couple days left. Instagram at Daily Comedy News. Find the image with those two shows, and you can vote in the comments. If you like what I do here and you'd like to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Daily Comedy News and click $5 and I'll buy a nice coffee with it. And that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.